The torn curtain of prosperity. Today's China wears a cloak of prosperity. GDP figures, skyscrapers, and expressways stitching together megacities. But beneath that surface lies a brutal reality. Ordinary people have entered the harshest period in decades. They lie flat in resignation, living amid anxiety, emptiness, and despair. The so-called Chinese dream has curdled into a bitter joke. This facade is propped up by statistics and propaganda campaigns, while daily life disintegrates. For millions, even finding a stopgap job now feels humiliating. Keeping a bare minimum standard of living, meals, rent, medical costs, has become a trap with no exit. This is no longer the pessimism of a few. It is the common picture reflecting the economy's broad deterioration and a society fraying at every seam. The unraveling of everyday life. Streets that once throbbed with energy in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou are now plastered with "for lease" signs. Districts once priced like gold stand hollow. In Luba, once considered prime retail ground, only streams of unemployed drift through, resumes in hand, rejected at every door. People say even odd jobs, paying pennies, have vanished. Worse still, state-owned enterprises, long seen as the final refuge, are failing to pay wages. Construction workers, engineers, even mid-level managers report that social insurance and income tax are still deducted every month, but salary never arrives. Instead, they receive a meager subsistence stipend, just a few thousand yuan, forcing them to borrow to cover the smallest household expenses. This is no longer an isolated phenomenon. It has spread nationwide. In Wuhan and Hefei, once bustling wholesale markets and commercial districts look deserted, even during holiday peaks. Famous restaurant brands resort to sidewalk stalls, slashing prices simply to survive. The public's refrain is bleak. If it hasn't collapsed yet, it's hurtling toward collapse. Ghost cities and commercial graveyards. In Beijing, malls that once symbolized middle-class life have become commercial cemeteries. Japan's Aeon Group, which entered China in 1996, has withdrawn from all projects in the capital. On the day Aeon Mall Fengjuan closed, a blogger filmed an eerie scene. A weekend evening at peak hours, the mall was as silent as a graveyard. Cafes shuttered, restaurants dark, Japanese brands gone without a trace. Parkson, after more than 3 decades, announced its exit from Beijing by the end of 2025. Even 50% clearance sales couldn't lure patrons. Pizza Hut disappeared. The famed Qingfan steam bun shops shut their doors. For rent banners blanket entire streets. In just the first half of 2025, more than 6,800 stores closed. Walmart, RT Mart, Yanghui, and even luxury labels, Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, trimmed their footprints. Commentators say the Chinese middle class has vanished. The corridors that once heaved with weekend families are now dim, echoing tunnels. Consumption hasn't vanished, it's migrated. High-end malls are empty, while budget chains, Mix-A Ice City, low-cost milk tea stands, convenience coffee, proliferate at subway stations. People are hoarding cash against an uncertain future. Prices slipping are not a sign of abundance, but of evaporating demand. Classic deflation taking hold. A generation unmoored. Amid this crisis, the young, once touted as the engine of growth, are embracing lying flat and withdrawal. Those born in the 1990s and 2000s say plainly, "Feeding myself is hard enough, why drag someone else into this through marriage?" No marriage, no children, even opting out of society, are no longer fringe choices. They are spreading norms. A distorted labor market has pushed millions into food delivery and ride-hailing. Jobs once viewed as temporary now prop up the economy. Young people won't endure assembly lines. Failed entrepreneurs and laid-off middle managers grab the steering wheel. A vast society now rests on couriers and drivers. Many warn, if these two pillars give way, the whole structure will crack. Marriage as a financial tool. Another social tragedy is exploding in parallel. Marriage has been reduced to a debt instrument. In many provinces, the outdated custom of exorbitant bride prices has metastasized into a nightmare. Not a few women drowning in consumer debt now treat marriage as an exit strategy. The horror stories are legion. In Fujian, a groom paid close to 1,000,000 yuan in cash and gold for the bride price. 2 months after the wedding, the bride disappeared. Her family refused to return the money, exposing a mountain of debt behind the arrangement. Online, such cases spread like wildfire, turning marriage into a debt trap. Some women present lists of conditions: 180,000 yuan up front, a minimum husband's income of 20,000 yuan per month, a house and car fully paid, no living with in-laws. Instead, bring the wife's parents to live together. The husband must be at least 1.78 meters tall, and all salary must be handed over to the wife to manage. Men who could meet every condition don't need a matchmaker, the rest flee. The marriage market has become a frigid exchange. This crisis was seeded by a decade of consumer credit frenzy. Credit cards, online loans, luxury advertising. A generation slid into debt. Now marriage is repurposed to refinance bad decisions, and men are cast as debt carriers. When love yields to ledger books, the result isn't stability but total moral exhaustion. An empty treasury and a mountain of hidden debt. While citizens struggle, the central government polishes bright reports. The finance ministry claims public debt at only 68.7% of GDP, lower than global averages. Yet international institutions estimate local governments' hidden debts at 6 to 7 times the official numbers. Urban investment and development companies, the white glove arms of local authorities, have borrowed trillions of dollars off the books. Everyone knows that when payments fail, the local government stands behind them. With interest bills due, they roll over debts. New bonds to pay old ones, a dangerous shell game. More alarming is the state of the central treasury. In 2024, the central government collected 10.8 trillion yuan and immediately transferred 10.2 trillion to localities. Beijing is left with crumbs for the military, education, strategic reserves, national projects, research, pensions, and debt service. Nearly all central expenditures lean on borrowing. Into this breach, Xi Jinping unveiled a slogan: "Build a nationwide unified market." It sounds like reform but functions like an administrative campaign to earlier poverty alleviation theatrics, where officials handed out cows and declared households lifted out of poverty. A slogan cannot rewire incentives or rebuild trust. It becomes one more top-down directive destined to rot before leaving the meeting room. Bitter comparisons and a shrill alarm. As China sinks into paralysis, Nepal toppled its Beijing-friendly communist government in 2 days. Overseas Chinese in Kathmandu remarked, "Nepal was a gentle society, but under communists it spiraled into crisis until the people stood up." The comparison stings. Even a small nation can reclaim its future, while hundreds of millions in China are strangled by an unaccountable machine. The reality is stark. The state flaunts glass and steel while citizens live in emptiness and fear. Social contradictions are a dam straining under rising water. The higher you build it, the worse the pressure. When it breaks, nothing can hide the flood. The dam has cracked. China today is a land of ghost malls, prone youth, marriages turned into debt swaps, and a hollowed-out treasury. People endure not only material deprivation but spiritual attrition. They live with a gnawing dread of being discarded, with the conviction that effort is pointless. When a nation depends on couriers to function, when marriage becomes a financial contract, and when the state survives by rolling liabilities, collapse is no longer hypothetical. It is a process already underway, and when the dam bursts, the system will face a torrent no propaganda slogan can hold back.